What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over some underrated loot spots in Fortnite's new Simpsons season because I know a lot of you have been struggling with early game this season. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, comment down below where your favorite location to land has been so far this season, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything, it is EvolveJake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So this season is very different from past seasons. The size of the map, it's much smaller, and that means pretty much every single location is going to be contested. Even the low-key spots I talk about in this video are not really that low-key. There's still probably going to be other players landing here with you. It's just not as chaotic and as congested as a normal POI is going to be. So the first location we're going to talk about is going to be the boardwalk. And I think this is probably the best landing spot in this season, but it also is relatively contested of these spots. I think this one is the most contested on the list. This spot has 2 plates of steamed hams, 18 potential chest spawns, 2 car spawns, and then there are fishing spawns as well. And this is all in a very densely packed area that you can loot incredibly quickly. Obviously you guys probably understand that chest spawns are valuable and that car spawns are valuable. The reason why I also listed off the plates of steamed hams and fishing spots is because those are also pretty helpful this season. So the steamed hams are just plates of burgers, and you can either eat the burger on the spot or pick it up and carry it into your inventory. And the burger is the best healing item in the game this season. It heals 30 shield and some white health over time. So you can heal up incredibly quick. And this is really helpful in a fight or trying to reset a fight or after a fight because of potential third parties. Just having this fast use and fast heal item that you can just quickly pop is good. And you can carry 6 in a stack, which is a lot of heals for one slot, especially with how fast it heals. And so having 2 plates of these means that, you could quickly land here and eat some burgers and then still have enough to eat to get to full shield and carry a full stack. Or if you're playing duos or something, each of you could carry a full stack of burgers out of this location, assuming you get enough other shield items, which you probably should as well. And the reason why fishing spots are also quite important or quite valuable this season is because the blink flopper is probably the second best or the best mobility item in the game, depending on how you look at it. And they made it to where you need to fish fishing spots to actually fish this blink flopper. You could still get it from regular looting and stuff, but if you want to fish it at the start of the season, you could just fish any water and you had a chance to get it. Now you actually need to fish the fishing holes. So it's a bit harder to get these, but assuming you get no mobility from looting the boardwalk area, then maybe you want to fish and get a few blank floppers to at least have nothing, or at least have something, sorry. It's better than nothing. And one of the kind of struggles with some of these lesser spots or places that don't have as much loot is going to be getting mobility sometimes. So being able to fish those spots and get blank floppers, I think is pretty good, although it will take a bit of time. And that the steamed hams and the fishing spot spawns, I think, are why this boardwalk is going to be, a sought after location, in addition to just being a decent loot spot. The next location we're going to talk about is going to be these houses on the outskirts of Burns Manor. There's 3 houses on a cul-de-sac type thing. There's 15 potential chest spawns in this area. And one of the houses does have a plate of steamed hams, which means, again, you could just use all the shield items you find and then carry burgers out of here. There are fishing spots under the bridge, assuming you don't get any other mobility. And then from this, you have a lot of choices of where you want to go. You could maybe rotate towards Burns Manor and try to clean that up. You could go to the power plant and try to clean that up. Or the nearby gas station actually has a supply NPC, and the supply NPC can drop you shockwaves if that's what you have out when it's time for her to resupply you. And that kind of solves what I said was one of the biggest problems of some of these locations, is just sometimes you won't get enough mobility, but assuming you find any shockwaves at all, then this NPC is going to be able to give you more, and that's going to solve your mobility item problem for the remainder of the game. That NPC really high value. So I think there's a decent amount of loot here. The burgers are nice, and then access to the supply NPC is also pretty good. The second best location on this list, in my opinion, is going to be this house in between Springfield Town Square and the Corruption POI. This house actually has 2 plates of steamed hams, 13 potential chest spawns, 2 car spawns, and because of where this is positioned on the map and the way it is, it's just all pretty much one house. You can loot this incredibly quick, and then you can just third party the corruption POI or the town square POI, depending on what's going on and where you hear shots. You know, if you hear a bunch of shots in town square, but nothing in corruption, then, you know, you probably go to town square. But if you hear shots in the corruption, you know, you could probably go there. I would probably prefer to third party the corruption POI since it is a bit smaller. And if you've looted your house already, chances are the people at that POI have also looted their houses. And so when you're hearing fights there, by the time you get there, it should be like the remainders of that POI. Whereas the Springfield Town Square is a big POI. And so you might try to third party it, but there's still be like several more players in the area just kind of lurking. So the fact that corruption is smaller means that I would tend to prefer to third party that one, but you can just kind of do what you want to do. The burning tire is also a pretty good landing spot in my opinion. If you include the house on the hill and this tire area, there's 15 potential chest spawns. And the way I chose to loot this was just to kind of land at the house first and then work my way down to the burning tires. And there is also more loot in pretty much every direction away from this area. So if you don't feel like you get something, you can just quickly check one of the other nearby spots. And these tires actually allow you to fly around, like it activates your glider. And this makes third partying Evergreen Terrace, the Springfield Slurp Works, or the Town Square pretty convenient because you could just quickly get in on any of those POIs and land on people fighting and then clean that up and get access to more loot for yourself. This one of these places I feel like had the least amount of loot, but it wasn't the biggest deal because you get that mobility from the tires, which should allow you to third party an area easily and get even more loot. The final location, I'm not really sure how low-key this will ever be. I think it will probably be decently populated as well. And that is going to be the mansion outside Evergreen Terrace. There is 17 potential chest spawns here. And then there's also plenty of slurp boxes and barrels and even a car spawn. But with how close this is to Evergreen Terrace, I don't really expect it to be just like full-on ignored often. And Evergreen Terrace is just typically a pretty populated POI, but you can, you know, loot this building up, be a little more protected from third parties. I feel like Evergreen Terrace is a POI where like you loot one house and then the moment you fight one person, everybody is just jumping on your head. But since this house is a little more secluded, even if you have a player or two landing here with you, it's going to be more of an isolated fight where you're less likely to get third partied than if you were landing at any of the other houses in Evergreen Terrace. So I think this is a pretty good house, and the fact that it's a little more secluded from the rest of the neighborhood makes you somewhat protected. But as I said, I don't really expect it to be that low-key. I think this one will actually be somewhat decently populated, but it's a good amount of loot for a single house, and it's, you know, densely packed loot as well. I think you'll get a lot of loot here really quickly. And with a lot of these spots, you won't often get what you need to just play out the remainder of the game. I feel like that's one kind of point of confusion when I make these videos. People will be like, I landed there and looted this, but I didn't get enough loot to just play the game out. Like I only got 2 shockwaves and 2 decent guns. And it's like these more isolated loot spots are more to just give you a bit of a safer start to the game. But you're kind of sacrificing loot density. Like POIs typically have much more loot than these unnamed locations, but the POIs are going to be more populated and more contested. So you're trading an easier early game for a bit less loot. And the idea is that you get this loot, you get a bit safer to the start of the game, and then you go in, you know, third-party areas or you find more loot elsewhere. You're not, it's not like you're just going to land here, loot this one little spot, and then hide for the remainder of the game and probably have enough loot to play the game out. Maybe you get lucky sometimes. But more often than not, you're going to need to like third party and clean up another nearby location, especially to get a lot of mobility. Like I said, that's kind of the struggle with a lot of these spots. And that's why I kind of talked about with each spot what areas I would want to be going to afterwards. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Let me know what your favorite location to land at has been so far this season, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.